Coming up on this episode of Latinas, we'll celebrate Women's History Month and highlight the importance of the Latino vote this year. Meet the mujeres who live to empower other Latinas, and so much more. Latinas starts now. Welcome to Latinas, the show that's all about nosotras, created by nosotras. I'm Tina Beth Pina. Today, I'm standing inside the conservatory of the New York Botanical Garden, where the annual orchid show is taking place. This year's theme is a fashion-inspired celebration, where visitors will be able to see diverse orchids amid dramatic, picture-perfect fashion installations created by 3 female designers. The show is on display through mid-April, and it's quite the sight to see. Now, the care that goes into cultivating an orchid pales in comparison to the strength one needs in finding their way in life. And that has never been so true than when it comes to immigrants. New York City has always been a sanctuary city for those seeking a better life for themselves and their families in the United States. But have you ever thought about what happens once immigrants are settled and need to work? What labor rights do they have, if any? I met a few Latinas who are working to help the newest New Yorkers navigate just that.
Tiene las credenciales. Esa es una persona calificada.
Workers' Justice Project, it's an organization, it's a worker center that welcomes every worker who wants to get educated, who wants to organize, who wants to transform their workplaces in dignified and safe jobs.
Founded in 2010, the Workers' Justice Project not only empowers its 12,000 members, but also fights to create fair labor standards within 3 main industries: construction, cleaning, and app delivery work for low-wage immigrant workers.
Most of the workers that we work happen to be gig workers, workers who have been completely excluded from labor protections, such as minimum wage laws, health and safety protections, and other labor protections that are guaranteed to workers. And what we're seeing is that more and more women are entering the gig work economy. Part of our work is not only to empower all workers, but also create a safe space for women to organize.
The day we visited, several Latinas were gathered to learn about their rights when it comes to construction jobs.
Un sistema en la barandilla.
Now today, you're empowering these women by giving them classes on what? On how to work in a construction site?
So it's a combination of health and safety and leadership development training. It's transformational. And our goal is, our training is not just focusing on making sure workers obtain the certification or learn about health and safety, but the health and safety training program is focusing on empowering women to understand that the value they bring and how important they are in their communities.
These women, many of who are Latina, not only get the tools they need to thrive in their work environments, but also become part of a community where they no longer feel alone.
When they get here, they understand, first of all, that nothing can stop them into thriving. Second of all, understanding that they're not alone, that there is a group of women who are fighting together for that dream. Third, understanding that there's value when they come together. So sometimes when we finish these classes, they create a WhatsApp group and a support system in terms of collectively finding jobs, sharing spaces, going together, right? Building community. When they leave this space, they didn't just left with a health and safety certification. They left it with a friend, they left with a sister, they left with an organization that is gonna have their back every step of the way when they're trying to navigate the complexity of a system that is not meant, it's not designed for women, and especially women of color.
Porque pues antes por falta del idioma yo no me sabía expresar. Ahora regularmente como tomamos los entrenamientos del grupo de Liberty Cleaners, ahora sé disminuir las cantidades que los empleadores quieren.
CUNY professor and film director Cynthia Tobar is currently shining a light on the Workers' Justice Project by producing a documentary called Mujeres Atrevidas that not only highlights the important work the organization does, but also chronicles individual stories like Meche's.
I wanted to highlight how these women weren't waiting for permission. They were going to organize and activate and empower themselves. And I really wanted to follow those stories and those trajectories because a lot of these stories are silenced.
New York City's newest immigrants often find prospective work by waiting long hours on street corners in every borough.
There are these women waiting under extreme conditions, basically not knowing where their next employment will come from or how fairly they will be treated by that employer. And it's pretty treacherous, it's pretty risky.
And the corner also creates a complex and unfair hiring process. Many of the women end up working with employers who steal their wages, want it paid below the minimum wage, employers who actually abuse them by putting them at higher risk doing dangerous jobs. And sometimes many of the women have experienced sexual harassment in the workplace by employers who feel that they can abuse because of the informality of the employment relationship.
But the most important relationship for these women is the one they have with their families and the money they have to earn to provide for them. It's a facet of the Latina community that Cynthia's film will bring to the forefront.
Immigrants make things happen in New York. They've always been the backbone of the city and the city's economy. And I'm thinking about analyzing and exploring that further in the film and its relationship to labor in New York City. It's more than just the film. It's about supporting and amplifying these strong women and their stories of resilience and grit to do what generations of Latinas have done for centuries, right? We stick it out for our families and we do it for our own, and to amplify and to promote that because we're a very strong culture.
March is Women's History Month, and women's empowerment is a critical aspect of achieving gender equality. Correspondent Elena Romero met up with a few inspirational Latinas who are making sure that our sense of self-worth is top of mind through digital and real-time communities.
I want to share stories that no one else is sharing.
Dominicana Yvette Bowden is the founder of Awakened Woman, a digital platform designed to inspire, empower, and encourage women to become their best selves.
I want people to listen and think, wow, I never thought about it that way. And whatever that is, whether it's mental health, whether it's relationships, whether it's sex, everything that growing up I was afraid to talk about, I want to discuss it on the podcast. And I want to discuss it with both men and women because we are different beings. And I think sharing those different perspectives might help us understand each other better.
Bowden, who has had her share of ups and downs, discusses pain and converts it to power and purpose.
We all carry trauma, right? And I've talked about this. I think as immigrants, there's just so much trauma that we carry, and it doesn't have to define you.
Bowden utilizes her AW Confidential podcast to empower women through other people's personal stories of struggle and triumph. Latinas like Lisa Vidal and Aida Rodriguez are only a few of many she has featured.
One of the most memorable has been Aida Rodriguez.
My mother's siblings, she had 5 brothers and 4 of them struggled with addiction. And, in and out of jail and struggling.
She has a really painful story, and she's been able to turn pain into power, into purpose, which is what I am trying to do.
While Bowden empowers Latinas through her digital platform, another community called The Dream Lab has become an entrepreneurial hub by Latinas for Latinas.
It's for the woman that grew up with the checklist. You go to school, graduate college, get the good grades, get married, buy the house, have the kids, excel at your career. And then you find yourself mid to late 30s, maybe early 40s, thinking to yourself, like, this can't be the life that I had planned for myself. She just knows that there's more inside of her, more to give, more expansion for herself. So she's looking for another community of women that feel the same way. They want to empower her to grow.
The Dream Lab hosts weekly podcasts, special events, and a yearly Self-Made Mujer Confidence Edition conference for those women looking to start their own businesses.
So the women that we pick to come speak is very intentional. They're women that are living that kind of lifestyle. Well, it's not just work 24/7, but they're creating a full life.
You walk in and there's hundreds of women who all want to see you win. There's no competitiveness, there's no cattiness, there is just pure joy in this room. And it's beautiful to just be part of that and having a place where we can do this together.
Castillo and Diaz-Robles look to empower women by providing them tools to grow in a supportive environment.
It's so important to empower Latina women because when we empower ourselves, we really continue to expand on the vision of why our families even came to this country.
For Latinas, I'm Elena Romero.
The presidential, congressional, and state primary season is underway, and this year, a record number of Latinos are eligible to vote. That's almost 15% of all eligible voters, and this voting bloc gets more powerful each election season. But who we vote for, how often we vote, and how many candidates are from our communities is complicated. 3 Latinas are about to discuss just that in today's Caliente Caliente.
The Latino population is so large, we could really make a huge difference this election. And it is uniting our voices in a way that we combine and say, no, this is what's right. Whether or not we disagree on certain issues, ultimately our representation matters and no one should take it for granted.
And by the way, both parties tend to come to us at the last minute, right? Latino voters were not born with a Democratic D on their forehead. Unlike many people think, 40% of Latinos identify as Democrats, 23% Republican. That's up from 16% before Trump ran. But for me, the most interesting group is the independents, right? Latinos really have been swing voters our whole life. We voted for George Bush twice. We voted for Obama twice. We voted for Donald Trump a little bit.
If you look in other states, the Republican Party has done a much better job empowering Latinas and electing Latinas, which is, I would think a shortcoming for the Democratic Party. The, amazing electeds like yourself came online, but it's just a recent push amongst Latinas saying, hey, we want representation. We started with, Speaker Melissa Marco-Verito, but we also had some of the lowest amounts of women in the city council at the time.
When I served in 2022, women-led majority in the city council, and it took us this long to get there. And it is on us, right? And so our biggest enemy as Latinos, and I think in general within New York City, what we see is apathy, right? And it goes back to, oh, my vote doesn't matter. How do we get you out? And
well, we have stopped teaching civics.
Bingo.
Yes. I think you have to go way back to the core of it is that kids, and especially Latino kids who come from countries where there's a mistrust of the government, there's a mistrust of elections.
I think it's creating the safe space to have the conversation and creating those places where like-minded folks are just having this conversation and answering basic questions because we don't have civics. And we also came from countries where we were politically oppressed. We had dictatorships. So our parents don't talk about what happened there because there's trauma. And they don't talk about voting and they don't talk about politics because it was so taboo. It was something that can get you killed in your country.
I think you're right. And I think going back not only to civics, but the basics of wait, how do I register? Where do I go? And knocking on doors was uplifting insofar as you have one family member there who is registered, right? Because
the mom or the grandma.
Yeah,
that's where the Latina comes in.
And that's absolutely using the matriarch to say, "Mira, y tú no has votado," and they're like, "What do you mean? I'm not even registered."
Yep.
And then going back and say, "Okay, well, these are the registration dates."
The New York primaries are coming up, and something that I discovered when I was doing political advocacy work with Univision was that many Latinos, because they're not familiar with the election process, think that, first of all, don't know what the heck a primary is, and think, oh, I have to vote more than once? I voted. I voted in that one thing. That thing, wasn't that the election?
You're talking to someone that was affected by that, right? Because especially New York City, most people think that once the primary is over, it's over because it's a majority blue state.
Democratic
And so everybody's like, oh, okay, yeah, we're done. You know,
you don't have to vote.
I don't have to show up in the general. Why? It's always going to be a Dem. And the reality is, no, not all the time. And so it should be definitely a priority. And this year, to your point, there'll be multiple primaries for the president, and then for the statewides, and then the general.
Right.
So let's have like the conversation.
Licensed marriage and family therapist Nicole Maldonado is back to share with us some tips when it comes to introducing your kids to your new partner. Let's see what she has to say about that.
The first step, right, is always to introduce children if this is a serious relationship, right? Like if you know this is going to be a person who's going to be present in my child's life for X amount of years, who wants to be a presence for them, meaning like someone who's going to be an integral part of their life, then that's appropriate to introduce the kids, you know, have a relationship there. When it comes to just any type of blended family, either like age gap couples or couples who don't have an age gap but have kids, you always want to establish that when whomever the partner is that they're meeting, this is a friendship. The relationship first is to be a friendship that's established. A lot of people go into it thinking like, oh, this is gonna be your new dad or your new mom or this or that. It's like, you don't wanna enforce those types of relationships because a parental relationship is very intimate. It's very close. So to have like, when in the blended families, you go through a transitioning period of just, like in any relationship, you're getting to know the person. You're getting to feel the person out. You're getting to test the relationship, but it should always be starting as a friendship relationship. And also too, like I said, knowing that this person is going to be an integral part of my son or a daughter's life for X amount of years. From there, they usually let that friendship kind of flourish for a bit, but always start it out as a friendship. That's the best way to kind of introduce these partners towards their children, and don't enforce things, right? Don't be like, oh, you have to call him this, you have to say this to her, right? Like, you know, let things flow naturally, but always start things out as just a friendship and you're getting to know this person, because that's how things kind of flow into a little bit more of a vulnerable and close relationship from there.
We just gave you some tips on how to get your relationship in shape. And now we're going to take it one step further by diving into the vibrant world of Free the Jiggle, a groundbreaking fitness class that's revolutionizing the way we think about exercise and our bodies. Melissa Garay has the story.
During the pandemic, I really wanted to give back and feel like there was a way for me to have some sort of communal movement. Every day at noon, we had a 15-minute dance party. We would have some choreographed dances. We would just like have some fun and dance to music. My daughter would come in and have some fun. It was really a way for us to let go, for me to connect with people, and just to like, again, get some movement in too when we're at a time where we're so idle. And at one point, we were like shaking and jiggling our bodies. And in the comments, we're like, yeah, we have to, like, we're freeing ourselves. I'm like, yeah, free the jiggle. And the people just like, yeah, free the jiggle. It just became this organic thing. And I was like, this is genius. We have to keep saying this.
And that's how Free the Jiggle was born, a transformative class that encourages people to move, feel better, and embrace joy.
What led you to create Free the Jiggle? I see jiggling as an act of resistance. Why do you think it's so liberating?
Jiggling is absolutely an act of resistance. A lot of times as women, we're taught to everything be tight and poised and graceful. And I feel like a lot of the times being wild or flaily is just seen as, you know, as unwomanly in a lot of spaces. Or even just
obscene.
Yeah, absolutely obscene. So we're reclaiming that in a way and saying like, we're gonna jiggle, we're gonna have fun. But also jiggling has so many health benefits, right? Jiggling, flailing our bodies actually wakes up our lymphatic system. It increases blood flow and oxygen within our bodies. It releases happy hormones, which can relieve stress. So like we're jiggling our stress away in many ways, but it's a lot of somatic movement as well as cardio, really.
Before coming to your classes, I always felt this sense of disconnect from my body. But there was something about being in your class that after I felt connected to my body.
You have a safe space here to jiggle, to scream, to laugh, to make a mistake, as I feel like so often we're so scared of how we're performing or what the other person looks like, how we look like, how we're perceived. So for me, it was like, how can I bring the confidence that I feel when I move? And that's really the goal of a lot of my classes, is to create this sense of ownership, right, of our bodies, and also a way to say, this feels good, and I'm allowed to feel good.
The women who take Jessie's classes also get to shine through affirmations, before and after class.
For me, it's really setting the intention of the space, saying, today I'm gonna have fun, today I'm gonna love my body, I'm gonna be playful. Instead of being critical, I'm gonna be curious and fun, and really just like hone in on that feeling. And so it really allows for, me to have an honest conversation about diverse bodies and how bodies can look and feel different and all deserving of access to movement.
This body positive class not only inspires movement, but inclusion for plus-size women.
And that's oftentimes why I say, I'm a plus-size fitness instructor. And the plus size doesn't have to be there, but I call that out on purpose because a lot of my work is with the plus-size community. We're so easily accepting of people who can be naturally skinny, right? Or never set foot a day in the gym but have abs. Yet we are hesitant to think of the other side of the spectrum, how there could be bigger bodies that are strong and that are flexible. I challenge women to really take that time, especially as Latinas. We are so inclined to always want to be work, and making sure that we climb up to the top, but we have to also build ourselves internally. We have to check in, we have to say, hey, how are you doing, mama? Like, are we good? And it's so important for us, to take that ownership and to really say, I'm owning my body, I'm listening to my body, and I'm gonna give her what she needs.
For Latinas, I'm Melissa Garay.
If you think traveling solo as a Latina is out of the question, think again. Here are 3 travel tips for the solo female traveler that are mommy approved.
One of the things that I recommend is getting an international plan with your phone. What I do is I give people live locations. I'll send it to my husband or to my mom or to my friends so they always know where I'm at when I'm traveling solo. The second one is whether you're American or even if you're not American, it's registering with the embassy of your country. The State Department has a program where you can register yourself and account it for if you're in that country, and they also push notifications to you. And the other one is it's always nice to meet new people, and I know that we Latinas like to be chatty and talk, but also be aware of your surroundings. It's great to get to know people, but don't be so free to say what hotel you're staying at, because a lot of people can put one and one together and show up into your room. I have to say is that a lot of times in our culture is it's like, oh my God, estás viajando sola. And it can be seen as a negative thing, but do what makes you happy and don't wait until the perfect time or the perfect person comes along to go on your dream trip.
Although singer and composer Magos Herrera is a powerhouse in her native Mexico, she's also considered one of the most expressive vocalists in the contemporary American jazz scene and has made New York City her home for the past 20 years. Let's meet this Inspiración Latina.
Fue casi como un llamado. Cuando yo entré a la escuela de música, yo sabía que quería hacer música, pero no fue hasta que empecé a escuchar, ¿no?, de qué se trataba el asunto. Me identifiqué mucho con el jazz, con el lenguaje, sobre todo por esta idea de que es sumamente incluyente y, digamos, intervenir todas las influencias que me gustan en este hilo vertebral. Me gustaban muchas cantantes y demás, pero no es hasta que lo empiezo a estudiar que realmente me seduce como un punto de partida, digamos. Me gustan los elementos de improvisación, interacción, interplay, la forma de frasear, el tipo de músicos con el que te rodeas.
Como en el muro la hiedra.
Van a ser 25 años de discografía. Y digamos que desde que yo comienzo hacía canciones, ¿no? Era como cantautora y después fui adentrándome más en el lenguaje jazzístico, desarrollando mi voz como instrumento.
Hasta que vuelvas tú.
Un proceso de crecimiento como músico y en realidad yo nunca me consideré como compositora en sí. Yo escribía mis canciones e interpretaba canciones de otros.
De qué callada manera se me adentra usted sonriendo, como si fuera la primavera, yo muriendo.
Y es hasta el 2018-2019 en realidad que digo, por todo el trabajo que he hecho de composición, me gané un grant de Chamber Music Americas, en donde me comisionan a hacer un trabajo que se convirtió en el disco que acabo de lanzar. Y fue donde me di cuenta y dije, bueno, es que realmente lo que hago pues sí es trabajo de composición. Nunca lo había visto yo así.
Memoria, soñamos por entre las piernas.
Entiendo mi transitar por esta vida como algo totalmente impermanente. Ahora lo vivimos todos durante una pandemia, ¿no? El tener tan clara y tan presente la idea de la impermanencia. Pero creo que algo que siempre ha estado muy presente en mi forma de entender la música y en mi forma de entender el mundo es el descubrimiento. Porque el permitirte descubrir te permite asombrarte y te permite mantener como una juventud emocional, psicológica, y eso te permite tener una forma de crear mucho más auténtico, mucho más libre, mucho más fresco. Decidí venir hace 16 años a Nueva York porque, bueno, como bien dices, tengo una carrera muy afortunada en México, con un público muy generoso. Mis primeros discos los lancé en México, tenía un programa de televisión, todo estaba muy bien, pero en esta idea del descubrimiento, ¿no? del viaje y del descubrimiento, creo que había en mí una gran curiosidad por ver qué más, ¿no? Por ver qué más y por crecer. Y creo que Nueva York te ofrece eso, ¿no? Siempre digo que Nueva York me protege de mi propia ignorancia y tal cual. Creo que donde uno viene es justamente la raíz y la semilla y la fortaleza que te ayudan a navegar lo que navegas. Esa diferencia creo que es la fortaleza en realidad, ¿no?
And that's our show for today. For more information on what you just saw, check out our website at tv.cuny.edu and follow our social media profiles because we love sharing our Latina stories with you. And please make sure you tune in next month. We'll meet a Latina astrophysicist, talk politics, get other travel tips, and so much more. ¡Uepa! Hasta la próxima. Bye-bye.